What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. I am on the road this week. I'm visiting my mom. Notice we don't really have a backdrop going on this one. She wasn't feeling well and wanted to check in on her. So anyone watching, if you want to send some positive thoughts her way, I'd be appreciated a lot. But she's doing better, so that's the good news. But work doesn't stop, life doesn't stop, and there's a few things we got to talk about going on for a couple of our teams. I've been saying it since the start of the summer. It's going to be a wild offseason for the Suns, and it just continues to be. Matt Ishbia on his exit interview talked about all the changes that he expected that were going to be coming down, how the season was an embarrassment and kind of unacceptable. And I think any Suns fan could have told you that, but he made it really clear that there's a lot of things that are going to be coming down the pipe and a lot of shakeups. And at that point, he'd already fired Coach Bud. And now he makes another big move, this time in the front office, promoting, put that in quotations, promoting James Jones and moving him to a more of an oversight role with the front office and moving him out of the general manager role, which he had been in for since 2019, and bringing in Brian Gregory to take over, who is a bit of an internal hire. He's been a part of Phoenix for a little bit now, for a couple of years, and he's more importantly a guy that has Michigan State ties and a guy that has a lot of ties to Matt Ishbia. Not a ton. You really need to know too much about him. He's been a coach at the college level. He's bounced around a little bit. Hasn't never been terribly wildly successful. And then kind of moved out from the coaching realm into more, the management with the Suns here, and is going to get a shot now as a GM. One, the James Jones portion of it. When he had his opportunities, I felt like did a really good job with his roster. I mean, he is the guy that was able to go get Chris Paul and bring him in here. He's the guy that made a few really nice free agent signings and was able to kind of round out a roster and kind of help orchestrate a team that was able to make a push to the NBA Finals. Had a couple misses in the draft, but for the most part, if you look at the early part of his tenure, it was really successful. Then Ishbia comes in, and then a lot changes. And it all kind of goes back to like the last thing I was talking about Ishbia when, after he fired Coach Bud, where it's just like, this guy's got an endless bankroll or just about that. He is a super competitive guy that really wants to win. He is used to competing and winning in business where you can just continue to hammer money and do stuff at it. Like there's no salary cap in the business world, in the bank game. And it doesn't work like that in basketball. And so you need to have some sort of consistency, some sort of chemistry with the team and some sort of culture. And this guy flips over the roster so fast. And he says he didn't have anything to do with player personnel before, but I mean, like, okay, maybe he's not the guy making some of the decisions or the face on it, but he has heavy influence, and he's the guy that's really implementing a lot of the changes that happen with this team. And Jones became a bit of needed a little bit stiffer back and say no, I think, a few times, and say, this is what we need to do. But sometimes anybody who's had a boss knows that sometimes you just say yes to appease them and kind of make things work, and whether or not it's what you really want is kind of what ends up happening. I think you saw some of that with Jones, but the bigger issue is still there. Like, there's not name a franchise that has a very active owner that's super successful. It doesn't really happen. Like, I guess Robert Kraft is well in the spotlight with the Patriots, but it's not like you just see him when they're always winning stuff, and he's always like at games and having stuff, but he doesn't really kind of put a finger on making a lot of the changes and stuff like that, the pulse of the team. He kind of just sits back. But then you got like Jerry Jones. Cowboys are an extreme example of this, where you have the GM and the owner that is just full on, hands on, making all these decisions. But if you just go down the line, like pretty much every owner that I can think of that is really bombastic and that is talking about we're going to win right now. The problem with that is you're not building anything. And to win in sports, you really got to build stuff. There's very few teams that have this assembly where it just all comes together off of one season where you put the mix. I mean, you got to go back to kind of the super team versions of the Heat and stuff when they came together like that. I was going to say Toronto, but even that was just one piece with Kawhi, and they pulled the trigger on it. Other than that all those guys were still there. It just doesn't happen. The Celtics put together a great run, all their guys, and kind of added a couple pieces. But it takes time, and that's the thing with Ishbia. Like, he's not interested in waiting for time. Like, he wants results, like, right now. And that sounds great, but he keeps mortgaging the future, and he doesn't care about writing checks on these guys. I mean, like, his bank account's going to be just fine one way or another. But there's no express lane to success in building programs and stuff like that. And you would have thought as a Michigan State guy, that should be pretty well known. But he seemingly is going to forever press the issue with this and continue down this path. I thought Jim Jones did a good job. I thought what this team, and I think what this team really needs is for Ishbia not to be more hands-on like he has been to start this offseason. They need him to take a further seat back and empower the people that he has put into place. So some of the question is he going to give Gregory that kind of lenience, or is this his guy and he's also going to be incredibly hands-on and we're going to see more of the same or worse of the same? Time's going to tell, but like I don't think this was Jones' fault. I think he did some trades that he wasn't really. If you think the Bradley Beal trade was Jones's idea and then it was signed off by Ishbia, all this has to happen. Like if Ishbia did not want that to go through, then okay. I don't think that. I think Ishbia was pushing that they need to go out there and get someone. This name came up and he was like, we've got to go add another superstar talent. And that trade alone has put this franchise back 7 years, probably. I mean, they're going to waste 2 years here. They lost all their draft picks. It's going to take it's 10 years. I mean, that trade has really what has kind of ended this window and this run of the Suns. So I don't think you can't tell the owner to do that. The owner can do whatever he wants. But it's a gift and a curse when you have an owner that is this invested and cares this much, because they do moves like this. And I don't think that's always what's best for the team. But it's also not the only big decision that is going to have Ishbia's fingerprints all over it. And now it's going to have Gregory's as they get ready to hire their new coach and make that move, whenever that may be. I thought all the cards, all the arrows pointed towards it being Steve Nash. Now, there's a chance that can still be, but it took a big hit. Obviously, he had started filling in for JJ Redick and was doing the podcast, talking hoops with LeBron, and he's very well spoken and articulate and can resonate well on television. And now that gets parlayed into a new show that he is going to be doing with Dirk Nowitzki on Amazon Prime, and he's going to get a crazy amount of money for that, and that deal is inked, and he ain't going to do both. So unless Ishbia wants to write some kind of crazy check that would buy him out of that probably contract, clear him, and then also get him to sign on for this team, it ain't going to be Steve Nash. And that was what looked like the obvious piece for this team. A guy who obviously has insane ties to Phoenix, knows the team inside and out, knows the program, knows the fan base, knows the city. He's a guy that would resonate with a lot of teams or a lot of the players on the team. And he's had coaching experience. And he's had coaching experience with Kyrie and with a lot of big name talent too. So he checked just about every box that you would expect. But he's not really available anymore. Or at least he's really, really hard to get now. And so the question turns into, who are they going to go and get? And the names coming up next probably aren't really going to get anyone too excited. I mean, Sam Cassell's probably going to be someone that you hear about a little bit. Willie Green, I thought he did a pretty good job in New Orleans, that maybe he gets his shot now. Jared Dudley's been kind of on the coaching circuit, but you're going to be talking about guys that are mostly kind of assistant coaches at this point and haven't really had a head coaching opportunity unless they want to recycle some coaches like Mike Brown after he gets cut by the Kings this past year. None of those coaches excite me for this situation. And to be honest, what do you really expect? What good coach is going to look at the situation that the Suns are in and say, I want to sign up for that right now, regardless of how talented their top 2, top 3 players are? There's so many problems with this roster that it does not seem to be anything I don't want to get mixed up with. But the odds now have shifted to Willie Green being the favorite. I like it. As far as the options of the names that are thrown out, that's probably the guy that I'd be most inclined to think would work. But I think if you go Willie Green, you're also looking at pressing the reboot button a little bit. And it's an important piece. Obviously, it's a head coach. It's a masterpiece for this offseason. The bigger thing that's going to happen still will be the KD trade and what they're able to get in assets, what they're able to get in young pieces. And that'll speak to whether we press in full reboot, what kind of comes next after this point, because it feels like that's where we are at and headed. But if you get a young and promising coach, that's also kind of comes in the cards a little bit. Like, you're able to get established coaches. If you think you're able to win, you're going to get a young coach that you're going to want to be able to connect with the young guys. And Willie Green's still that. And so I think the hire will give you a little bit of insight as to what they're about to do with this roster and kind of the direction that they want to go. It's just, I don't know about you guys. Ishbia doesn't seem like a guy to me that really wants to press a reboot button and start from the ground up. I don't know if he has the patience for that. But he hasn't given himself very many other options. So we'll see kind of what all comes of this. Like, I don't love it, but I don't know what name out there that could get you excited about everything that is kind of coming down. As for a new head coach, he's the best on the betting odds that I see, but I don't love it one way or another. The last thing I want to talk about is the NFL draft grades have come out for the Cardinals. And if you remember when the draft finished, I thought they knocked it out of the park. I thought they crushed it. You'd be able to get Walter Nolan in the first round, position of need, about where he was projected. It's not like a steal or anything, but great fit, great guy available at that point. Then to be able to go out and to get the corner that they get in the second round, a guy that would have been a top 10 pick if he had been healthy but had gotten hurt, and to add him to the Cardinals in a position of need. Will Johnson's really, really good. He would have easily been a first-round pick if he hadn't gotten hurt. So the question is, can he stay healthy? And if he can, he's going to be great for them, I feel like. And a steal for the second round. The fact that he slid that far is crazy. Third round was okay. I thought they still hammered the D-line like they needed to. I didn't love the lineman they pick up on the O-lineman. And overall, I thought it wasn't horrible, but like the third day seemed the least inspiring of any of the days. And maybe that's just part of it being the third day because, it's the back end of the draft. But overall, it doesn't diminish the fact that they killed it early on and really went after the positions that they needed to. It wasn't just getting, positions of need. They got talent in the positions of need. Is just Hayden Conner wasn't exactly the guy that I would have loved to have seen them pick up, but that's one pick. It's late in the draft. Okay, maybe they see something, maybe he develops, maybe he's just a guy you can plug in and, get a little bit out of. So overall, when it came out, I didn't think it was like an A+, knock it out of the park. I thought it was a solid A- though, and a really, really good draft class. And then the draft grades come out. Just saying, people across the Twitter sphere, across the world, across the sporting world, think they did really well also. So good news here for the Cardinals as they get ready going into the season because they needed to have a good draft class. Pro Football Focus gave them an A+ on the draft, which is chef's kiss, is one of the highest grades that obviously you can give out, one of the highest they got. Yahoo Sports gave them an A. NFL.com gave them an A-. Bleacher Report gave them a B. CBS Sports gave them a B-. Those are solid grades from 4 different outlets, and there's so much about this draft that Cardinals fans should be excited about. Young, talented guys, you add them into a room that really needed some juice, and now it's going to be the story of the entire season. The story of the Cardinals is going to come down to what happens with Kyler Murray this year. Can he take a step forward? Can he be a guy that can help get this program, this team, to the next level? Is he the guy? We're going to have to wait and find out. It is a push come to shove moment for him. And the thing is, if he doesn't really prove it this year, the draft class of quarterbacks coming out next year is absolutely stacked. So time's a ticking. He's only got so much more time to prove it that he needs to be the guy and deserves to be the guy, because with what is coming down the pipe next year, he's only going to have one more chance at this, and it's this year. He's got a lot of really young, talented guys around him. So this is a make it or break it season for Kyler Murray, and a draft class that is going to give him every opportunity. I know they didn't go out and get a lot of offensive guys. I know they got no offensive weapons for him. They still need to go out and get a wideout in free agency. They still have some holes. Connor's starting to get old. But that defense was in desperate need of some new blood, and they did everything they needed to now in the draft. Now, can they go out and sign a couple more guys? Can they add a little bit here in free agency? If they can, it's going to go a long way. Definitely need a wideout. But regardless if they do anything there, they've set the table now and given the ball to Kyler Murray. And it is go time. He has got to prove it this year, or else we are going to be here next year talking about what guy in the draft they need to go after, because this is what it feels like Kyler Murray's last chance to really solidify that he needs to be the guy here, because you can't be paying that kind of money to a guy that you're not sure is your franchise quarterback. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a really fun season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Catch you next time.